Howdy ho, people. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm just sitting here waiting for Jess to get on. There she is. Let me add her in. There she
Hi.
is. Hello, friend.
I miss you.
I miss you so much. I feel like we saw each other all the time, and
then
now
Corona
we
took
don't
it
see
away
each other
from us.
ever.
Yeah. We were like, let's start hanging out. And then Corona was like, no.
Isn't it crazy? We have so many fun people joining too.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It was like we were doing so good. Like we were like seeing each other once a month. We were like brainstorming, having fun, doing
Yep.
sessions, and then now
Gone.
it's over. We'll try it again, Jess. We'll try it again.
We'll get there someday.
I know. I don't even have. I'm trying to be healthy this week, so
I'm with you.
I'm not.
But I mean, also on my desk.
I'm a little jealous. I'm gonna try to only have one a day. Will I make
good. It's okay. It's a pandemic. It's all right. It's all good.
We shall see. Okay, so I sent you the list of questions.
I'm ready.
I was like, okay, this is the most questions I've gotten for any person that I've done this with. Hold on. I always have to raise my chair up. Josh is like, you're always too low. Okay, there, that's better. When I put it out there the other day, we just got like a lot of questions. And then when I put it out again today, I was like, all right, these people are pumped up about Jess.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
So we'll go ahead and get started because Instagram will cut us off at an hour. So
okay,
get started because this will go on YouTube. I've been putting them all on YouTube so that people can go back and watch them because I think that helps. So
love it.
All right. So the first question we got asked, which has been a typical question, is how do we know each other? So do you want to start?
Sure. So I think I followed you first on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you actually followed me back until I started commenting about Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Well, that's a strategy.
Because
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, like because you would like talk in your stories about Diet Dr. Pepper, and I'm like, no one ever talks about Diet Dr. Pepper.
Hold on.
Like, wait a minute. So, so then, I think I found you through some other photographers.
Okay.
I think, I think that's probably how I found you. Okay. I don't know.
I just remember our connection. As soon as we made the connection, like we started talking on Instagram. We were Instagram friends for 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And so we just immediately kind of hit it off in Instagram world. And then one day I think it just hit us that we live close to each other.
Yeah.
We were
because like people in Atlanta, like you might be like, oh, I live in Atlanta, but then you're like an hour apart.
Exactly.
But we were like, oh, we actually like live close to each other.
Right. We were like, oh, you live in my part of Atlanta.
Like we could actually see each other and be reasonable.
I know. And then I remember that first Chick-fil-A lunch. I think we sat at Chick-fil-A. Number one, they knew our names and our order by the time we left. I think we sat there for probably 3 hours?
Yeah.
It was a long
lunch.
We were both kind of doing the whole like, I need your help. And you were like, I need your help. Can we help each other?
Yep. And then here we are.
Magic happened.
I love it.
And now I'm your brand photographer and you're my website SEO.
It's a match made in heaven.
All questions when I'm a paralyzed person.
I love it.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to save some of the fun questions as we go so that we can have like little breaks of like the serious stuff. So
okay.
We'll
putting my serious hat on.
Yeah. We'll get started on this first one. So people wanted to know what your specialty in business was. And they even asked, she came back and asked again, what exactly is your specialty? So tell yours first and then I'll kind of tell mine.
Yeah. So my main focus is websites, and in a very like technical sense, websites. But in a broader sense, I feel like I really help people simplify and leverage what they already have. Like that's like one of my favorite things is like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to complicate things. We can like simplify and streamline and whatnot. I also do like logos and design and all that kind of fun stuff. But websites are my bread and butter.
Yeah. And that's honestly, I think that's why I was so attracted to you when I needed help, is because you and I have talked about this, and I'm very vulnerable about this. I get very paralyzed in that world, and
Yeah.
um, things that I don't understand and I can't necessarily put my brain around, I get really paralyzed in that. And so the great thing about Jessica, for anybody watching, is she's helped me understand it in a more simple manner. Like I don't feel overwhelmed now when I look at things, because number one, I know that she'll help me walk through that process. But number two, I feel like she takes it and breaks it down for you so that you can understand what it is. I have a better understanding of like what my website needs to do. So if anybody's looking for that, she definitely is your girl. As far as me, I am obviously a wedding photographer. That's my primary source of income, and that's my primary job. But I also, I love that. Somebody said paralyzed is the perfect word.
Oh, that's one of my, hi.
Is that
one of my friends?
Oh, yay. So for me, I also have half of my business is basically social media strategy. So if you followed here for any length of time, you know that. If you're new here, social media strategy, I help people figure out basically the same thing that Jess does in the website world. I help people figure out in the social media world. So I think that's also why we're good for each other, is because we kind of have this balance. Josh has jokingly said, like, y'all need to do this together. One day, we never know.
One day we will take over the world.
Okay, so here's a great question, and I'll even tell who asked this one because she's my good friend, Stephanie. Stephanie asked, are logos important? And I know you have a very passionate take on this. So I would love to hear your opinions on if logos are important, and if they are or not, why?
So on one hand, like, yes, like I think you should have a logo, but on the other hand, I think we put too much emphasis on a logo. Like, I can't tell you the number of clients that I've had that are like, make my logo bigger. And I'm like, no one cares about your logo.
Right.
People don't, like, yes. And I know a lot of branding people are like, remember, like, we know Nike's logo and Apple's logo. Yeah, those are Nike and Apple.
That's Nike and Apple.
And like, I'm sorry,
yeah,
we are not Apple and Nike. Like, we're just not. And so, yes, a logo helps you look more professional. But that logo could literally be like your name typed out. Like, if you want to invest more money, if you have an idea, like if you want that, it's not a bad thing. But too many people put an emphasis on having some fancy logo. And I'm like, just go to Canva and type out your name in a font. And then export and upload that as your logo. Like, that's, people go to your website and to your social media to learn from you and to engage and hopefully and hire you. They don't do that with your logo.
Yeah. And one of the things that I even say to my social media clients when they ask, a lot of them ask me about things like this and branding colors, and we'll talk about that next. But one of the things that I tell them all the time is they will never trust. This is, everybody that knows me knows this is my saying. They will never trust your business until they trust you. And that logo doesn't create trust. That's not where the trust is happening. Do they eventually associate that with you? Probably at some point, if they've been clients of yours for years.
Yeah.
But I think it takes a while before they'll ever associate those things with you. So I think they associate your business more, especially in the small business world that we're in, with you, your face, who you are, what you offer, not necessarily the logo or the brand that you're putting out.
Like, we don't go to a business and like, oh my gosh, I really want to hire her because her logo is so cool.
Yeah.
No, we go, oh my gosh, Amy is so amazing. Like, I love following her on social. I would love to have her do my wedding because she's the kind of person I want during my wedding day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that's what you, like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, Amy's logo. Wow. Like,
I'm hiring her for that. That dusty blue logo, that's it. Yeah, that's totally it. And now, since we're on that subject, we did have this question. So somebody was asking, and I get asked this a lot too, about branding colors. I'll tell you my take. I think it's important to have some type of idea of where you fall. Like, for me, everybody knows that dusty blue and navy, those are my Those are my colors. They make
Yeah.
me feel good. That's what a majority of my house is in. It's a part of who I am. It's not necessarily what I've created my business to be. And so I always tell my clients, especially my social media clients, find colors that are you. Don't, just because you shoot weddings that have all these pretty light pink dresses, that doesn't necessarily mean that's your branding color.
Right.
So if you could speak to that, maybe like why it's important and maybe why it's not as important as we put emphasis on.
Yeah. So colors, I think, like, again, going back to the logo, like you could just simply like type out your name, be good. The colors help you have a cohesive feel between like social, your website. For photographers, like a lot of you have like vendor booklets and client welcome packets and like stuff like that. So it gives it that cohesive feel rather than like your website being all like blush pink, but then like your social media graphics are like just all over the place and stuff like that. So it gives it a cohesive feel. But like you said, like think about like what you want, like you, and not just like, oh, my favorite color is pink, but what kind of vibe it gives off. So like I have a client that doesn't really have brand colors, and so I was like, okay, well, we should like pick some just for like consistency. And she was like, oh, what about this color palette? And it was a very like dark muted all blue shades, and I was like, you wanted to evoke energy because you're a personal trainer, and that does not evoke energy. That makes me think calm and serenity and things like that. So yes, like pick colors that resonate with you, but also think about like, how does this make me feel? Like if this was painted, if my whole office was all these like 4 or 5 colors, would that evoke energy, or
what's that gonna do to And I'll tell you, as far as me, like it's kind of comical. My colors have been these shades for a while. And it's funny how many brides are even drawn to me because those are their colors. So we tend to have a whole lot of navy tuxedos on a wedding day, dusty blue dresses for bridesmaids. It's not that we're telling them that, but they identify. It's where they trusted us. And then they've also trusted our branding colors in a sense. Like it brings them calm. And so I love that we even attract clients that that have that same type of job as we do with our color schemes. And I think that's across the board for any business, wedding photographers, for fitness people, anything. You want it to speak something. What does it say about you and your brand? So,
Yeah.
That good? Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. So we did that one. So what is somebody asked this question I thought was great. What is one thing or step I can take today to make my website better or more attractive? If I could have one step that I could do today.
I would say simplify, which I know that's a very vague step, but like go simplify your homepage. Especially like this could apply to any pages, but if you just want to start with your homepage today. A lot of people have way too many different calls to action, buttons, links, all that thing. So like if you think about like my planner, and like if all these different headings were buttons, like what do you want me to click on? Like,
and we even worked on that with my website. It was a little too heavy and some calls to action, and you were able to break that down for me and put them in different places that still allow people to connect there. But it took the immediate call to action and put it first and foremost.
So I would say go simplify your homepage, especially, and just think about like a lot of people will have like a section on their homepage with like about me, and it's like a paragraph, and I'm like, you have an entire about page, like you don't need to like have this other section here. Like your homepage is like a welcome mat. And so think about like when you walk into somebody's house, like they're not like, hey, okay, so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do like, like we don't overwhelm people. We're like, okay, so like here, come sit down. And then next, okay, would you like some water? Like
I love that you relate it to a welcome mat. That's a great way to view it, is you want to invite people in before you overwhelm them. You don't want to greet them at the door and be like, hi, would you like chicken, turkey burger? I mean, like, you're not wanting to like ask them all.
I also have water and Diet Dr. Pepper.
You don't want to overwhelm them before they're inside your home. And that's the same way we need to treat websites. That's a really good word, Jessica. Very good. Yes, girl. Welcome back, people.
Welcome.
Okay. So if I'm planning a move, this was a great question. I've experienced this personally. And so I think both of us will probably be able to speak a lot to this. If I'm planning a move to a new area or state, what is something I can do to prepare myself and my website and my social media for that upcoming move?
So I think for social, I think you could easily add that into your bio and like, I mean, I don't know, you might have better ideas of how to phrase it, but like Florida and Georgia, or like moving to Georgia soon. I don't know if I would say moving to Georgia soon, whatever. But for your website, probably like 2 weeks beforehand, I might start changing. Like a lot of photographers have like serving the Atlanta area or something like that. So change that information to reflect the new information. I say 2 weeks because you're probably at that point not accepting any current, like if you're in Atlanta and you're leaving, you're probably not going in the last 2 weeks before you move, probably not booking any new shoots.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it gives Google time to start indexing the new information.
Okay.
So like, I mean, you can wait until you get there. Like,
yeah,
not,
but that's a good word. Like, I think 2 weeks. Well, and in my scenario, we didn't really know we were moving. Like, if you know our story, it was very much a shock. My husband's job was dissolved in Alabama where we lived. And so for me, it wasn't like I even had preparation time. So I had to start marketing. I had to start thinking really fast on my feet about marketing to a new area. And in sincerity, there were 6 weeks where I didn't know where I was going to be marketing to. It was like, okay, I'm just going to sit here in it because you just don't know. So I think that's a good word. 2 weeks is a good amount of time to kind of give people when it comes to website. I will say for social media, it's wise to go ahead if you can announce. Okay, so I know there are scenarios for myself, like in ministry, if we were to be moving, likely we wouldn't be telling people that for a certain amount of time, because in ministry world, you have to keep things quiet. But for people that can express where they're moving to, I think it's wise to go ahead and change that up in your bio. But a big thing would be hashtagging. This is where you go in, and if you're a social media client, you'll understand this. You'll do a hashtag dump of places that you want to serve, places you want to shoot. And you want to go ahead and do that now to start marketing in your hashtags towards where you're going to be. That is how I would maneuver someone through a move. Is I would tell them now to start. If you're 3 months out, now would be the time to start doing that. Just so that people from that area are going to start slowly engaging with who you are and your business.
Right. So and I would say also on the website, like if you're changing like the location, you could also add like now accepting sessions for May or whatever. Like, are you going to start immediately, or are you gonna like, hey, I'm gonna like move and like give myself a month to like get settled, and then you whatever, like that way they can see like it's not immediate. They don't have to know that it's like, hey, I'm moving, so I'll start, like you can say like now booking Atlanta sessions for May 2020 or whatever.
And back to a social media point on that too, because I think this is a really valid question that a lot of people ask about that we don't always get to talk about in this area. But a great thing too would be to also go and introduce yourself more often and announce that you're doing those things. So for social media standpoint, we should be announcing who we are often on our pages. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute with a different question, but you should be talking about that move, that upcoming move, because there are people while you're creating hashtags for that new location, because people are going to be watching that through your social media page. So okay. So do you have recommendations on how often I should be posting on social media as a business?
Is this a question for me? You're the social media
I think it's a question. They didn't really, some of these didn't preface, but I assumed that they were like for our specific areas. I recommend that so I'll say it and then you can tell me what you think, because you're on social media just like, I mean, you and I balance each other really well on this. I recommend that you post on social media your business page at least five times a week. I think if you are, I have some clients that do 4, I have some that do 6. I personally do 7 most weeks, but I try to keep what I'm saying not always about business. So I try to be personal. So if you're trying to be personal, I think more that you can post is better. If you're trying to keep things very business minded, 4 times a week should be fine. But I think each time that you're telling them something, you need to create value in what you're saying to them. If you did not listen to the podcast that Jess and I did, this would be a great promo for that, because we did talk about this a little bit in that podcast. It's the Digital Lounge. You can go view. I think mine is 109, but she has lots of podcasts on there that are great. But if you're not bringing value to the table with your social media page, then just stop posting. Like, that sounds harsh.
Yep.
It sounds really harsh and blunt, but I'm not trying to be. If you're not creating some type of value in the content that you're putting out there on social media, just don't post that day. Every day needs to have some type of value. And when I say value, that doesn't mean business value. It could be, my post today was very personal. It was very introspective. It was very much how I dealt with the weekend, how I feel. That's okay. That also brings value. Yep. Your personal feelings bring value. So I'm meaning from the standpoint of, if you can't bring value, if all you're going to do is post a pretty picture with a pretty quote that doesn't mean anything to anybody or me,
don't do it.
You aren't giving me anything to back up that quote, don't post that. Don't fill up my feed with invaluable information. Again, that sounds really harsh, but from a strategy standpoint, you're not creating anything there, and people are not viewing that.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that, Jess?
I agree with like the number of posting. I was gonna say like every other day or whatever, but like 5 times a week sounds good, because then it's like maybe you have like yeah. And then I agree with like the value 100%. I think a lot of business owners need to stop thinking of social media as advertising.
Right.
Like, I know there's Facebook ads, that's not what I'm talking about, but like, think about it as connecting, not advertising. Yes, like there are times and places to advertise. I'm not saying like don't ever, but like the majority, like 80% of your content should just be connecting and providing value and building those relationships. You're and then you can like pitch or mention something, promote something specific.
And that, I mean, I know I said this phrase a million times, but I already said it once. But that goes back again to the trust. Uh-oh, you there?
I'm good. Sorry. That's what I get for touching my phone.
It goes back to the trust. I say this all the time, but it's because it's so what I teach. They have to trust you. And if they're not trusting you, why in the world do you think they'll ever? They may book you for a session, but that does not always mean that they trust you.
Right.
So you want them to trust you as an individual. On a wedding day, I want to walk in and I want those couples to trust me. When I'm doing a social media strategy session with someone, I want to get on and I want to feel like we've connected already on some type of personal level, because we've created trust inside of just the social media marketing side.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how our friendship started. It started
like,
with that.
Because when we met for the first time, it didn't feel like it was the first time.
No.
Because, and yet, I mean, yes, we had like DM'd a lot and stuff like that. But even like before that, we had built that like relationship, and we'd gotten to know each other.
Right.
Because we post personal things.
Right. So I think social media, I think a lot of businesses look at social media as a way to just advertise their business. And they don't realize that a majority of social media actually, when I say this kind of loosely, is more advertising ourselves. And I don't mean that you need to be promoting yourself all the time. I mean that you need to be talking about who you are, what you stand for, what your brand is, who you cater to, what your clientele looks like. Tell stories about your clients. To have clients send you stories about you and how you've interacted with them. I think that we miss the mark majorly in the social media world because we're not communicating in a relationship way. We're communicating constantly in a marketing way.
Yep.
So we got to break those walls down. So I hope that answered that question. For whoever asked it, I don't even remember. All right. Do you have, how important is it to have a strategy on social media? This is going back to social media for a minute. it is extremely important to have a strategy for social
Mm-hmm.
media. I went for about 2 years just flippantly posting. I would post like 9 wedding photos from a day within 2 hours of each other and get 7 likes. You know,
Yeah.
strategy in social media is more important than I think people even realize. Why we post, how we post, what time we post, what we're posting on our grid, what the grid aesthetically looks like. Even though we don't focus on that as a main point, we still want our grid to have some type of aesthetic flow to it. When we should post an ugly post, and when I say ugly post, I don't mean an ugly picture. I just mean a post that maybe breaks the grid. There's a lot of things that I think go behind a strategy, and I think it's a very valuable resource in the place we are today because social media is so saturated,
Mm-hmm.
overly saturated, like completely just engulfing in our minds and our brains right now because so many people are on it and using it constantly. So I think strategy is a huge deal. And I know I have some clients on here that are social media strategy clients, and I do that for businesses. And I know for you, you'd even do, let's pitch ourselves to a different side and say you even do audits for website
Mm-hmm.
because of some similar stuff to this. So talk about that for just a minute.
Yeah, like everyone thinks about social media strategy, but
Mm-hmm.
there's also website strategy.
Right.
And a lot of business owners are like, oh, like I don't really get clients through my website, or it doesn't really serve my business. I haven't touched my website in 2 years, like that kind of stuff. And I think
Right.
that's because your website doesn't have the right strategy.
Right.
Just like Amy talked about posting 9 wedding photos in 2 days or 2 days, 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can't just throw spaghetti at the wall when it comes to your website. Like you have to have a strategy. And if people aren't booking you through your website, that tells me that your messaging is off, you're confusing people, your website's complicated, it's hard to navigate, it's not clear. And so that's why I do audits, because like I said at the very beginning, I love helping people leverage what they already have. Yes, do some people actually need an entire website overhaul?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But like when I did Amy's audit, we didn't redo her website. We simplified, we reorganized, we, like condensed things to like realign things with how her business, like what she wanted people to do on her website.
Exactly. I didn't even realize there were some things that I was saying that were like, I was doubling up things I was saying. And I think that's why it's good to have an audit like that. And I know that you have a great price point for those. So if anybody's on here that wants that, you definitely should check Jess out at Jess Creatives on Instagram. I'm sure if you DM her, she can give you more information about how to get to those. But for an audit, she really just tells you what is good, what's bad, what can help you in the future. And you shift through those things and figure out how to make them better. Is that correct, Jess?
Yep.
So,
and it's all very easy things. Like, it's not like change your theme and here's a bunch of code and like really and like if you can change text boxes, if you can change text, if you can change photos, like you can handle this.
Exactly. And that's what I loved about it. Again, we'll go back to the paralyzed. When we approached this with mine, I told her, I said, I feel very paralyzed in this world. I can tell you about algorithms on social media all day long. I can tell you the numbers. I can tell you all those things about analytics. But when it came to my website, I can't wrap my brain around it. And I think that's what's cool about your world and my world is that they can work together. Like we're very similar, but we both bring different things to the table when it comes to those analytic and those algorithm world. So, okay. So here's a fun question that we'll ask. We'll break up the series for a minute. So tell me what your favorite ice cream is.
So if we're going just generic, like just
let's go generic first. Yeah.
Cookies and cream.
Okay.
If we want to be specific though, Jenny's ice cream, the skillet cinnamon roll.
Ooh.
I really like, but any of the like cinnamony.
I love that we call her a her, because like her, it's like I picture her. I picture Jenny standing there.
Right. Jenny, like any of the like cinnamony brown sugar cake, any of those flavors, I love. But
I don't know that I have found one that I just hate. Like, I don't know that I have found a Jeannie's ice cream that I just go, no, that's.
Well, there's several I haven't even tasted, which I should probably remedy.
I just go down the line because they give you those tasting spoons. I just go down the line at Jeannie's and I'm like, I just want to try all of them.
Sometime I need to taste the other.
We'll go one day during their off season once we can get back into the real world, like during their off times, and we'll just go. That's what I do. I just go through and I try each one of them. I'm like, no, I want to try all of them, and they're like, okay.
Whatever.
What are they gonna say? No, they can't tell you no.
I love it.
I love it. I'm a Neapolitan girl. Like Caitlin and I discussed this the other day. I love a good Neapolitan. I also love mixing it together. I'm real weird. I know. But at Jenny's, I always get a trio, and it always includes Brambleberry Crisp.
Yeah, that's my other, like, I really love Brambleberry Crisp, but I
love Brambleberry.
More and more I'm learning I love, like, the cinnamon and brown sugar kind of flavors.
The sweet potato one was not bad either, with the marshmallow cream.
I did enjoy that one.
Yeah, I'm glad we live close to Jenny's.
Me too.
Thank you, Lord.
Me too.
Okay. So here's the next question. How, this is really good. Somebody asked, how has Jess changed your business, Amy?
Oh.
So we've talked a little bit about it, but I am now, since she's came in and done the audit for me and really done like the SEO, like I've watched her put code into my website and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand that. And so watching her have hands-on with my business has helped me so much. Like, she has helped me create email marketing list. She has taken me from MailChimp to ConvertKit, and I'm doing emails through there now. Like, there's so many things. We also have some fun stuff coming up that we haven't announced yet that Jess is helping Josh and me on. I'll give you a little hint. We're working on a social media strategy course. We're trying to get it all recorded. It was supposed to be recorded a month ago, but quarantine has pandemic has really done us in. We have some other fun little things that she's helping us kind of think through. She's not only been hands-on in our website stuff, but she has also been very hands-on in our brainstorming world. I think she has been a valuable asset to Josh and me both by letting us kind of like have like word vomit to her a little bit. Like, this is what we're thinking. Tell us what is good out of this and tell us what's bad. She's been really valuable to us. So I think anybody that can work with her would see dividends for probably years to come, because you've already offered that to us. We've even been booking weddings through our website more often. We were booking a lot through Instagram. We're even booking them now more through our website, which is a really big thing for me. I'm really thankful for that. So
nice.
Good job, Jess.
Yay.
How about, we'll go to this question. Talk about your sessions together. Why do I need branding photos for me? I don't show my face on social media.
You should.
Go for it, girl.
You should. You need to show
the gospel. Preach it.
We want to work with people, not brands. Like, we want to connect with people. I mean, I think about, like, during this pandemic, like, there's a huge emphasis on, like, supporting small businesses. Yeah. And that includes, like, part of that is because we like to connect, like, we know that's a real person. Right. And not just a logo. Right.
We've already talked about the logo.
We've already talked about that, but we like to work with people, and we don't get to know who you are if we don't see your face. Right. And so I know, like, I have always had a lot of people who are like, but I don't like being on camera, and like, we don't care. Like, we don't care. We don't care if it's shaky or dark, or like you don't have makeup on, or there's kids in the background, or like,
I mean, how often do I story my face with no makeup?
Yeah.
Like I actually contemplated not even putting any on today, and I went very minimal. I was like, people don't care. Like, they just don't. People don't care. They want to see your real life, especially in the storying platform. They want to see what is happening. I cannot stress this enough. I think this drives me crazy the most about my social media clients is they can't wrap their brain around the fact that people just want to see them in their real life. Yeah. It does not have to be overly posed or overly done to create a story. Just pick up your phone when something silly is happening around your house, or even better, when something not so great is happening around your house. And you're like, you know what? I'm about to kick this kid's butt because he will not do his homework. Like, that happens at my house.
Yeah.
And I think people, the more that they see that we're living a real life and not just this pretend little box that we put ourselves in on a grid, I think that that's such a valuable asset to people who want to genuinely just have connection.
Yeah. Agreed.
It drives me crazy if you are not putting your face on your grid every 9. So we classify a grid in 9s. So your grid is like a box. If you're not putting your face at least once in those 9 boxes, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to step it up and put yourself out there. People want to see you. They want to hear who you are. Get vulnerable in that post. Some people don't like diving too deep. I don't care. I'll tell you my whole life story. But whatever is comfortable for you, you need to tell people that and dive deep. And then in stories, you need to be really authentic there. Just be who you are. And I know for you, like, we've even had conversations. I'm like, you need to show Morgan more because people love that dog. And so I love that. Is he there?
He is sleeping.
Oh, poor Morgan. But I love him, and I love that you have even started like putting air in them. I love that you're incorporating your whole life into that. Yeah. Because now we're seeing the whole picture. Like, we're seeing your whole picture, your puzzles, all these things that you're doing. I love that. Yeah. And it's just simple stuff. It's not, you don't overly have to think about it. It's just simple stuff. So I love that. Anything else you want to say to that?
I was just thinking about like pictures of us. I was looking at a local donut shop's Instagram earlier today. Yeah. And just looking through all their posts and like what they're doing in the midst of all this. And I noticed anytime they showed up on camera in their posts, like pictures of like, hey, we're delivering, or, you know, whatever, they had a much higher engagement, which I also noticed. Versus if they did like just donuts or like text on top of the donuts, like some kind of like quote or whatever, with like 100 less likes at least.
For me, like, if I show my face, I double my likes, and I don't even care about that. But there's the engagement I'm speaking more to the engagement side of your social media platforms. If you show your face, engagement's going to go up because they feel connected. Yeah. If I show my kids on there, it's even more engagement than me. People love seeing the behind the scenes. And I'll tell you, for my stories, if Josh has not been on my stories within a few days, people start DMing me and asking, like, where's Josh? Because he's become such a staple in my storying world. Y'all know that. He is hilarious on there. When Josh is on there, you know you're going to get valuable content. Oh, God. Yes. And so people start asking, like, okay, Amy, we hear you, but like, where's Josh? And I love that. So that's why it's important to incorporate not just yourself. People get tired of hearing you talk over and over again. So start pulling other people in that are in your everyday life. People also love when my dad's on my stories. He is a country cowboy is what I call him. He is Southern, and people love when he gets on there because it's just a different voice, but it's a part of who I am. Yeah. So I think it's important. Yeah. Okay. So here's another tough question, and we'll go to another fun one. How has business been affected by COVID-19 for you?
It's corona. It's definitely slowed down. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I haven't had any like cancellations or anything like that, but it's definitely taken a hit. Yeah.
Same for us. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much widespread.
Yeah.
Let's go to your favorite pizza.
Very specific, and I had it just because I had it a few days ago. Okay. Domino's handmade pan pizza.
My mouth's watering.
With pepperoni, mushrooms, and onions.
Oh, very cool. I do love a thick pizza.
Oh man, it is.
Pan. But I love, like, Antico is probably my favorite pizza
I do like
on the
Antico.
planet. And if you've never been to Antico, it's here in Atlanta. It's also at the Braves Stadium. I think it's at some other places too, but Antico's margarita, I think that's how you say it. I don't know. That pizza is my favorite pizza. Love that pizza. But
Real
just
good.
a normal pizza, I'm an all the way without onions. No onions for me.
I do like supreme pizza, but Aaron does not.
Oh,
so
Aaron. Wah, wah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So somebody asked, do you do graphic design work?
Mm-hmm. I do. So that's actually how I got my start. I got my degree in graphic design, and then a few years after college, then I started doing web design. So
you still offer graphic design?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So mostly like logos, PDFs, ebooks, physical books. That's mostly what I do. Awesome. Don't ask me to design a PowerPoint presentation because I won't.
I don't. Why would I want to? Becca does all of those for me. When I have to do those for my workshop, she does them all for me. I'm like, no. Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. How do I pitch myself to a podcast?
Oh, great question. So you need to focus it on what value you're going to provide to them. So don't just like, oh my gosh, like my name's Jess and I've been on all these podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm an award-winning web designer. I'm so great. Like, person's gonna be like, that's nice. I don't care. Like, unless you're like Oprah, they're not gonna care.
It's pretty much the same thing. They got to find value in what you're doing.
Yeah. So talk about like in the like as a podcaster, the best pitches I get are like, hey Jess, loved your recent episode with Amy, and like I went and implemented it, on my Instagram. I forwarded it to a few friends, blah blah blah. I don't know if they actually did that, but at least they're trying to butter me up. And then like, as I was, listening, I wonder, I thought like your audience might also benefit from hearing about XYZ,
right?
Because a lot of business owners struggle with XYZ. Like mine's for business owners, like you, like people listening, you fill in the blank for your target audience.
Exactly.
And like, so I can break it down into this 4-part framework that I talk about and give them tangible advice. Like, here's a recent, interview I did on someone else's podcast, so you can hear what I'm usually like or whatever. Let me know if you're interested. Like,
that's good.
Cool. Like, I can see you've been on other podcasts. Like, not that you have to. Like, if you haven't, don't feel, because obviously someone has to be your first podcast.
And you were mine. I've never been on a podcast before, and I loved that we got to talk like that. Yeah. So just keep it on, like, on the value that you're going to provide the audience. Like, it should say, the email should talk like say more your audience than I me. Yeah. That's good.
So, and follow up, like that is key. I have a friend who's a PR strategist, and she says that she gets most of her clients interviews like locked in, like based on the follow-ups, because people forget, they delete, they go to spam, like whatever. So do that follow-up, like usually I'd say like 4 to 5 days later. Okay. Just to make sure. Yeah. That's good. And just like I usually say when I'm pitching, I'm like, hey, like, didn't know if you saw my last email, would still love to talk to your audience about SEO. Like, let me know if you're interested. That's awesome. Yeah. Super short. So keep it about them, show them what your value is. Yes. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So here's another question. Would you be willing to design websites for photogs? We've had this conversation. I know the answer. Yes, I would. Fun fact, I actually used to do a lot of photographers before I started working with health and fitness. Like if you looked at my website 3 years ago, most of my portfolio was photographers. Like I even for a hot second, like made my website, it said like websites for photographers, and then decided I didn't want to niche down to that. And I also know for you, like my website is hosted through Squarespace, or I'm on a Squarespace site. Yeah. I know you are good with show it. Is that
Have you done Show
I've
It?
done a few on Show It.
But you don't like
Wix. I don't do Wix. Most of my work is Squarespace and WordPress, but I've done Show It some. And if you use Wix or Weebly, I will make you move.
Like, I think that was your first question to me. I said, I really want you to help me with my website. And you were like, with who?
Where are you at?
Where? I was like, Squarespace. You were like, okay, I'm fine.
We're good.
I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to move it all. And I'm when I get comfortable in a space, Josh would tell you this if he were sitting here. I don't do change. Like, I'm one of those people that he has to make me like update my computer and my phone. When I get real comfortable somewhere, I don't change. So like everybody keeps telling me, you should totally go to Show It now, Amy. I mean, your business has grown so much and you need a Show It site. And I'm like, no.
You're like, I don't want to mess with it.
I am happy. You remember when we took my MailChimp stuff and went to ConvertKit? I was like, Jessica, I do not do well
worked magic.
I do not do well with this. You're going to have to show me what to do because I do not do well with change. I don't, y'all. Like, when I get situated in something, I use that until I can't use it anymore. So, all right, that's good to know. Okay. So, so for somebody else asked a similar question, so we can just do a quick, do you do website audits for just health and fitness, or will you also do them for photographers? So I'm assuming.
I do them for anybody.
For anybody. So if you're a photographer who wants a website audit, do you have any type of pricing point that you want to talk about in that?
So the audit is $400.
Okay.
And that includes basically an audit. I comb through your website and go like page by page, section by section, and like write out specifically. And it's not just like, you should use a different photo here. Like,
it's like no, it
needs to be a picture of you smiling at the camera.
Right.
I'll even like, you need to change this heading to H1 and make it orange or like whatever your color is. Yeah. And it should say, and then like I'll write the headline, or I'll say something like, you know what, because like I will, you know, have ideas, or like this is what I think it should say, but I want you to feel like you have that freedom of like, I don't know if that sounds like me, but like, can I tweak it?
No, yeah. And I remember when you did ours, you broke it down. I mean, like, you explained every single thing. You helped me walk through how to change everything, how to get it set up. Even did some changes for me. I don't know if you offer that, but
I offer that to people.
Okay.
Like,
you even went in and did some changes for me, so that I wouldn't have to figure out how to do those.
Yeah.
Because she knows that about me. But I loved that about when she did that audit for our site. She really broke it down step by step for me. It was very simple to read. I understood exactly what she was trying to tell me to do. And then I was grateful that she helped me maneuver through that so that I didn't feel like, okay, that's great and all, but I don't know how to do any of this.
Right.
She helped me walk through the steps to get that done. So
yeah.
Yay, Jess. Okay, so here's a good question. What do you admire about each other?
I admire Amy's authenticity. I know it's like a very cliche word online, but like,
just such an
like, because you are like, you show up like with your family and without makeup, and like, I know there's more to authenticity besides just not wearing makeup, but like you share the highs and the lows, and you keep it real.
I try. Some days are harder than others. Some days you're like,
preach.
If they knew what was going through my brain right now, I would lose every follower. No, with you, Jess, like, from the moment that I met you, you are just one of the kindest people that I know. You are real. You shoot straight. Like, I think that's one of my favorite things about you. It's like, when I ask a question, I don't ever feel like, you know, but you have some of those friends that like, they fluff you. Like they, you're doing a great job.
I think that's a good idea, maybe. Like,
but with you, like, I'm a 3-wing too. And I am, like, there's a Brene Brown saying that says clear is kind, unclear is unkind. That is so me. Like, I want you to be straight with me. I want you to do it kindly. Yes. But I want it to be done straight. So I want you to look at me and be like, Amy, that just doesn't, like, I don't think you should do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, well, I think it's a great idea. Let me think over it. And you don't do that with me. And I love that about our friendship is that you say to me like, Amy, you can do this. Or Amy, you don't need to do that. Like, stop doing that. And so your kindness in those moments has really been like invaluable to me, because I think you're probably one of my first friends that have ever been like that with me. And just a side note on that, like I'm in ministry world. Like my husband's a worship pastor. You know this. Your husband's also in ministry world. So you get this.
Yep.
We're used to people trying to make us happy to a degree. Like they don't want to make us unhappy. So they try really hard to be kind to us. And sometimes the kindness is not genuine kindness. They're just kind of giving us what we want to hear, or they think we want to hear. Let me say it that way. What they think we want to hear. And with Jessica, from the moment that we started communicating, it was never like that. It was just kind of a shoot straight.
Yeah.
And I need a friend like that. And I hope I've been able to like that to her.
Yes.
Because I don't think either of us have time for that.
Nope.
I mean, I don't mind people being encouraging to me. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But like for you, especially helping me in my business world and even vice versa and things that we've done together, I think it's great that we can just have a shoot straight kind of moment together. So, okay. So what would be the first 3 steps for someone starting a photography or videography business? They came back. They didn't write that to begin with. They came back and said, by the way, it would be photography or videography. So,
okay. I would say get clear on what type of photography. I know a lot of photographers like to start with like, I do everything.
Yeah. That was me. And then you have to kind of figure out what you're going to nail down to. Yeah.
And you can always change this later. Yeah. Like, I know it can be tricky because now you've attracted all these like wedding clients or whatever, and now you want to do families, but like you can navigate that. Yeah. But I think it makes it so much easier when you're clear of who you're serving.
Right.
And then I would say getting set up on social media, like get your business social media. Mm-hmm. And then third, get your legal stuff figured out. And then like, so that's the first 3. And notice I didn't say website, and a lot of people would probably expect me to say that, but you like long term, no, you cannot have a business without a website. Right. But like in the first 6 months or so, like, yes, you can manage without a website. But eventually you're going to need to do that. But if you're just getting started and set up, like it is easier to connect with people over social media. Right. Eventually you want it, like I like websites. And SEO, because then you can have people find you instead of you always having to go and try and get people to find you. Like, and you're connecting with them and, you know, that kind of thing. With SEO, that's just like people automatically finding you on autopilot. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so I would say figure out who you're serving and what specifically you're going to do. Get that social media set up. And then get your legal stuff figured out. Maybe legal should be first. Yeah. Sometimes important. I'm like, I think at the very beginning, when you're trying to figure out if this is something you're really going to do for a business, I think you can pause on that for just a short amount of time, just to see if this is this what I'm going to really do? But as soon as you figure that out, that would probably be that would definitely be. I mean, at least like get I don't recommend like templates of contracts, like free ones, but like long term. But again, if you're just starting out and you're figuring out if you want to do this as a business, use one of those free templates, and then invest in a like actual real contract. But I mean, even if you're just kind of figuring it out, like, trust me, you want the contracts to protect yourself.
That's good. Okay, so we have one more main question. We have 6 minutes left. Got it. Cut us off. So let's do this one first. Does swapping your Instagram from business to personal, vice versa, help or hurt? If you are a business, you need to be on a business account.
Agreed.
I know that there's a big name in the social media world that does not tell you this, but she also has 1 million followers. So I'm not going to name names, but I'm just going to say, when you have 1 million followers, you don't have to worry about analytics of your social media account.
Yeah.
When you have 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, you do. You have to worry about that. And so I'm very passionate about this. You need to be on a business account. If you've been on a business account and you've not been reading your analytics, you need to take 30 seconds today. You need to flip that account to a personal account for 30 seconds. And then you need to flip it back to a business account to restart your analytics. And then in 7 days, you will have accurate analytics of your business account. And I do highly suggest that clients do that about every 6 months, just to see if maybe they've started being skewed. Your analytics will be things like the day of the week that is best to post. If you have like a large post, like an advertisement post you want to post, tells you the times of the days that you want to post, tells you who you're marketing to, who you're reaching, how many profile visits, the engagement, the reach within that engagement. Those types of things are very valuable to a business. So if you're not doing those things, if you're not looking at those things, and if you're just using social media as a check mark in the morning on your to-do list, stop.
Don't do it.
Don't do that. You're hurting yourself. If you're posting at 8:30 in the morning because it's on your to-do list, you would be better off not posting. And I know that sounds harsh again, but from a strategy standpoint, stop doing that. You need to start looking at the analytics of your page. And if you can't read them correctly, you need to change. Anybody that's listening that hasn't been looking, I would suggest going and changing it to a personal account for 30 seconds, letting it restart, changing it back to a business. But if you are a business or a blogger or anything like that, website, anything that has to do with a business, you need to be on a business account. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Okay, so somebody asked, tell me more about this workshop y'all are doing. I think this is a new follower of mine, so I'll just say Amy Cole Workshop is my workshop that I started last year. Jess is going to be at it this June. We were going to be in March. We did have to move it due to the pandemic we're in to June. Jess will be with us all day on Monday. She's going to have several talking points throughout that day. She's going to be, I'm so excited she'll be with us all day that day, because I think that's going to be valuable, that you're going to be there with us in the trenches together.
Yep.
If you want to know more about the Amy Cole Workshop, I can post that in some comments or in a story after we get finished here, so you can know more about it. I'm really excited about it because I think she's going to bring a new aspect to this workshop world that we didn't have at the last workshop. So
yeah, we
can talk about more of that later. And then what are some resources that will help me learn more about SEO and social media? Do either of you have one-on-ones or courses?
I do lots of one-on-one work in various aspects, like audits or done for you or whatever. I have a membership with 2 SEO workshops inside. Okay. If you go to jesscreatives.com/better, you can get the information there. You can join on a month-to-month basis. You literally sign up for 1 month, watch the workshops, and be done.
That's awesome. And tell us the website one more time. Just
jesscreatives.com/better.
Okay. And why don't we do a story? Why don't you do a story after this and tag me in it, and I will share it to my page too, just in case somebody didn't get that.
Sounds good.
And for me, I do one-on-ones for social media strategy. I do actually have 6 openings right now because I've had a majority of my clients end in the month of April. So there are 6 openings. If you are looking for one-on-one strategy sessions, you feel free to DM me and I can get you connected to that. There is a social media course coming soon, hopefully in June. Fingers crossed that that's what happens. Jess is helping us work on that. Jess, we have 1 minute, 58 seconds left. Tell them where my followers that are seeing here, where they can follow you again on Instagram. It's
at Jess Creatives.
And I am at Amy Cole Photography, all one word, for now. For the moment. And so I'm so excited you did this with me. This was so fun.
This is so fun.
Yay! We will probably, I have a feeling Jess will be back on alive
Probably.
sooner than later, because we got a lot of questions and I felt like we had to rush through them. So I feel like we're going to get a lot of follow-up questions
Yep.
to all of that. So
Yep.
anyway, this was fun. I love you, friend.
I know. It's so good to see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.